Hello, I'm Pam of HealingStars.com, and this is a chart set for London for the full moon, the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. Full moons always bring up emotions, and as you can see in the centre of this chart, there's a lot of tension. Red indicates that. Blue indicates the flow, the natural connection of planets when they are in the same element. But the red equals challenge, as astrologers like to say. Always at the full moon, the sun is opposite the moon. And this full moon is in Aquarius, down here in the purple sector. Here's the sun. And what's very important about this full moon is Mercury. Mercury is retrograde at the moment. It does this 3 times a year. It's not unusual. It's retrograding back through into Aquarius. It dipped its toe into Pisces, but it's now in Aquarius. The first thing I want to say is Saturn is the next thing. I'm going to talk about Mercury in a moment, but Saturn. Have you been feeling a real pressure in trying to move forward over the last week or two? The reason might be Saturn. Here is Saturn over here in Scorpio, 23 degrees of Scorpio in this turquoise sector. The Sun in Aquarius, in the violet sector, is at a right angle. And that creates a lot of tension. These are both fixed signs, and a fixed sign, as you can imagine with that word, it can be very stubborn. Saturn also represents limitations, restrictions. It's not a comfortable energy that Saturn represents. On the positive, if we conquer our resistance, our procrastination, and move forward in spite of all the problems and difficulties, it will reward like no other planet. But the sun, of course, is the light. The sun is leadership. And in the news, in the UK, over the last months now, but especially the last couple of weeks, we are facing a crisis as a nation. A lot of our countryside and encroaching on villages and towns are these huge, devastating floods. Floods represent emotions. And this is the Neptune, Chiron energy. As astrologers, we look at Pisces to represent emotion in this overwhelming way, this sea. Saturn is also the attack, if you like. The leaders of the country are under attack for not doing enough, not spending enough, or not planning ahead, not using resources for such an emergency. And of course, it is a very unusual event, all this flooding. But the energy of the sun, leaders, because it's in Aquarius, what it's saying is community, people coming together, and this is what I witness happening. Friends helping friends. I've been moved to tears by what I've witnessed on the TV and the news broadcasts of the genuine caring that people have for their neighbours, how willing they are to go out and help. And I do believe this is part of the British spirit. It might, of course, be true for other countries. I am British, so I am, of course, biased. But I do see that happening at this time. The fellowship, the community, often the pub has become the source of community spirit, a doctor's surgery in a pub, for instance. But that is the Aquarian energy. That is the, in inverted commas, New Age energy. Groups, community, and a full moon in Leo. Leo is a sign to do with the heart, with the centre of the lion's heart is in fact where the moon is today. So that warmth, that compassion, and that caring wholeheartedly for others is coming through at this time. The restriction of Saturn is something always, it tests us. It really does test us. It tests our resilience. And Saturn can often, in our chart, can often be a place where we feel inadequate. However, at this time, I truly believe that the crisis is people are pulling together. And that's a very important point. And that is Mars, also, if you see over here in Libra, in the green sector, here's Mars in Libra. And Mars, 26 degrees of Libra, is actually making a very positive aspect to the Sun, the same degree, which means Mars is men, Mars is the military, Mars is people taking action. And in Libra, it's a relationship sign. So people are taking action to help each other. Mercury, over here, as I said earlier, in Aquarius now, Mercury will actually join the Sun tomorrow, the 15th of February, at 2022, and that's UK time, universal time. Now that is a very important time. It's a time for meditation. It's a time to go within. Mercury is often very misunderstood. Mercury is a messenger, but Mercury is also a psychopomp. That means Mercury has a lot of power, and the power it has in the mythology, Mercury as a god, was to go in and out of the underworld at will. No other god could do that. And because of that, Mercury is associated with therapists. People who can go into the underworld, i.e. the unconscious, at will and talk and console and guide people through those dark times. The other important analogy that I'm seeing at this time is the anniversary of the First World War. Of course, a global event. At that time, Pluto was in the sign of Cancer, where Jupiter is at this time. And we are being reminded of it in the UK because there's a whole series about that period in our history. Now that was, of course, a period of huge loss, but also sadness. The country was sad. And to me, that's what these floods are also showing, the sadness, the misery, the anguish that some people are facing. And my heart truly goes out to them. But also in that place, there is compassion. There is connection with each other. And the spiritual, I believe, is the only way through, i.e. to recognize our union with each other, our connection with each other at this time. Now, when Mercury joins the Sun tomorrow, it's as if he's in the throne of the Sun. If you think of the Sun like the king, he's entered, Mercury, the messenger, the psychopomp, has entered the throne room. And he's imbued with the Sun's energy. I know we can't see much sun, literally, in the sky at this time, but we all know what the Sun feels like. And that energy, that golden energy, is something that I'd like to feel tomorrow evening. By then, the moon will be in Virgo. Virgo is a healing sign. Virgo is a sign that is often to do with small things, small acts of kindness that people demonstrate toward each other, and also it's a sign of the goddess. So I'd like us all to bear in mind that tomorrow evening at 2022, rather symbolic number, I thought, and to go within, listen to what your heart is telling you at this time, what messages you may be receiving. In the Vedic astrology system, the Sun and Mercury will be in a lunar mansion, a part of the sky that is known as Dhanishta, and the symbol is a flute, and the deities are the 8 Vasus, known as the good ones. The key words are wealth, prosperity, optimistic, and musical, and it translates as the richest one. And Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu, and Vishnu, of course, was an avatar, and sometimes Krishna is depicted as a flute player, and the flute represents the ego that's emptied itself, because the flute consists of space only. So the ego can create room for the divine energy to flow through it. The ego can become an empty shell that can be filled with cosmic energy. I'm very grateful to Roland Duluth for that excerpt from his book about the lunar mansions. And I'm quoting it because to me that's the most beautiful connection that we all have. The flute, the empty flute, is our heart, that chamber that we all have within us, the lungs of our body, the breath we take. So that's my message for this full moon. Mars is your ally at this time to do something, to take action. Saturn wants patience. It wants also to realize that we are being tested, but the Aquarian energy is community, friendship, helping others, and of course the moon in warm Leo is royalty. And it's rather touching that the two princes, Prince William, Prince Harry, are actually out there shifting sandbags. They are walking their talk and helping as best they can. So happy full moon, and I'd love to hear what you come to, what thoughts come to you into your heart at the time of the Sun joining Mercury tomorrow.